happy holidays. It's Nina Mercier.
And Corinn
And Corinn is author of Find Your Extraordinary Love. She is a soulmate shaman. Hi, Corinn.
Hi.
What's up?
Everything.
Oh, everything. Everything? Tell me about it.
Well, do you want to talk about insecurities?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something that happened when our friend told me I should meet you?
Oh, yes. I would love to hear.
So, when our friend Hans was saying, Corinn, you gotta meet this girl. She's so beautiful. She's so amazing. She does yoga. And she's so powerful. She's even more powerful than you are. And I'm like, I don't want to meet this bitch. So I didn't. I avoided the whole thing.
That's great. This is the expose on our friendship, right? How many of us have had friendships like that where we're like, I don't like that girl, and then you become friends. So I had the same experience from Hans because, we were hiking or hanging out and he'd go, oh yeah, Corinn, you gotta meet Corinn. She's a Reiki master and she's all into the same stuff as you and she's this powerful healer. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure. And my insecurities came up. And I was like, oh, I don't want her to meet me because she's going to find out that I'm not really that spiritual.
And I'm not flexible like your yoga.
So a few years later, after hearing this from Hans over and over again, we finally decided to become friends. And actually, after he passed, we were like, oh, we might as well get to know each other. It was so important for him. And I'm glad that I did. Yes, because here we are.
Yes. So how did you get through that? So we can give our viewers, if you have a situation where you're feeling a little bit jealous or insecure about, yes, definitely, yourself.
Yeah, there's so many ways to work through it, and I love moving out of judgment. I love moving out of this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. I really love allowing something to be and to find some understanding around it before trying to hide it or refuse it or pretend it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. I love when we can call out the elephant in the room, like the tension, and just say, to be open about it with myself and with you. I think we were cooking that day when we first talked about it. We were like doing our little cooking show, and you were like, yeah, and then you told me that. So one way we can create intimacy or strengthen our connection with others is to be vulnerable and to express our feelings, even the ones that are negative, by saying, I felt really jealous or I felt really insecure. And it's like, I love you.
It's like, me too.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. So, what more do you want to say?
Yeah, so one of the things, so it comes like insecure. I think if we were brought up in a family where you weren't, for me, I wasn't told, you're amazing, you can do anything you want. I was told different things, like a lot of criticism. By one of my parents, not both. My other parent balanced it out by saying, oh, you're a queen and you're beautiful and precious and all that. So it was like half and half. And what stuck in my mind is the negative. Mm-hmm. And so that's like how I talk with myself, mm-hmm. And I had to work through every time I used to say, I'm fat. I used to say that a lot. And then I did for 40 days and 40 nights. Every time a thought came up that was critical and negative about me, I said I'm going to say 3 nice things about myself to counter that. And then after the 40 days, it was really hard, and it still is now hard for me to speak or think thoughts that are bad or critical against myself. So that's one way I've been training myself when I get in that critical. Even like I remember one time I saw you wearing a dress that was like super cute and like low cut and everything. I'm like, I hate her. I can't wear that.
but then
it comes up,
but
you know?
Then you started wearing all these cute dresses. And you looked adorable in them. You look like a little fairy princess maiden. Wow, I got a new expose. You never told me that one.
I know! New footage.
Bitch.
Just be honest, you know, like... It comes up all the time.
Yeah, it comes up all
you
the time.
know, it's just part, I think it's part of being human, is to compare ourselves or notice what we don't have. And
it's part of our culture, no?
attack. Like sometimes we can attack. Like when I said, you know, bitch. Like that's not who I am, right? I'm loving. It was a thought, and I thought it.
Yes.
Right? It's like our shadow side.
That's what's great about our thoughts. We don't have to own them. We don't have to have them as our identity. We can just notice them and look at them, breathe into them, create expansion, and yeah, it's just they're not an identity. They're something that can pass through us and move through us, especially with awareness. And I love that you brought awareness to the conditioning that we're brought into, that teaches us to feel insecure, to say negative things, to criticize. And I really love that you found a way to move through that in 40 days of mental conditioning. Something I do is I write them in my cell phone when I have a thought, and I'm like, ugh. I just type it out exactly the raw how I'm reading it. And then I look at it and I know it's not me. I just know it was something that felt really alive in me. And I think you mentioned this earlier. You can give empathy to it, like to that.
Right. It's
that,
your little girl.
The little girl, the lower self, and give it love, because that's kind of what it really wants anyway, right?
Right. Give her love. This little girl that she feels like there's not enough. There's not enough attention. There's not enough love. There's not enough friends. Or right?
Not enough.
I'm not enough. That's what it comes down to.
There's not enough, and I'm not enough.
Right. So I think that's a good homework, is to become aware of when you're judging someone else, and you can ask yourself, oh, well, what am I afraid of? They'll get more attention, or nobody's gonna like me, or I'm chopped liver, and that one, you know.
There's something wrong with me. Everyone gets everything but me. I'm gonna go eat some worms. Remember that one?
Yes.
So when we get to that thought and we bring awareness to it, then of course we can ask if it's true.
Yes.
Like, is this true?
Is this me? Right? Is this my lower self or my higher self? And then decide. Okay, if it's my lower self, I'm going to acknowledge that and just say, okay, beautiful lower self, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
And thank you for letting me see that I'm human and I have human emotions. I have human tendencies that I don't think are really appropriate, but they are, because they are there. So just allowing them to be there and verbalizing it or not, right? To have, I think, to be really strong and vulnerable, you need to be able to voice these and then try, this is the bonus ninja level, is tell that person. You see some woman, you're like, I don't want to meet her. I don't want to meet her. All right, I'm going to meet her. I'm going to tell her, first off, I don't want to meet you because I'm super jealous
The story I was telling myself was that I don't like you, but I'm really curious because maybe I will. How are you doing?
Maybe there's a reason I'm triggered by this person and she's not bad. Like, I don't need to label this woman that's giving me this gross feeling. Like, I'm having this gross feeling. I don't need to label her as, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone, maybe she's part of my growth and my learning.
What I find that so painful in feeling insecure or jealous, it's not the story I have about what's actually happening. For me, when I go into the pain actually comes from that feeling of separation, the disconnection. So this story might have a lot of energy, but it's not the actual pain. The actual pain is I'm believing something that's making me feel separate from someone who is another human being, who shares the same DNA as me, that's on the same planet as me. So by expressing and acknowledging it with myself and potentially with the other person if it's appropriate, all of a sudden I create connection. I create connection with myself and I can create connection with you. You know, it's like, oh, you know, Corinn, she's already got her book out and she's like really smart and she's already doing all of this and that. And it's just like, you know, like I can't keep up with that. I got a lot of work to do, you know? And it's just like, how can I honor myself for what I bring to this world? And how can I continue to shine light on people who are doing it as well and not continue the cycle of separation? Like, oh, I'm separate from her, so I'm not even going to tell her and I'm going to disconnect and I'm going to, you know, like that's painful. I think that's what's most painful about it. So that's why it's kind of fun to talk about it, because then the pain goes away. It's like I don't even feel it anymore. Like we laugh.
We laugh at our insecurities, and I think that if you get to a place where you acknowledge it, you say it to someone. Maybe you don't say it to that person, but you say it to someone, and then see how you feel. If you acknowledge it versus trying to like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. Is that their homework?
Yeah.
So acknowledging when this feeling comes up, ew, I'm judging this woman or whoever, right? And just turn it in and say, well, what is this for me? Like, what's coming up in me versus me saying, oh, you know, judge the other person.
Because you're always with yourself anyway. And anyone who comes into your life is just there for your healing or for your celebration. If you're not celebrating and in love with the person in front of you, there's some healing to do with a part of yourself. There, you can look at that. I believe that. And if it's not yourself, it could be your mom or your dad.
That's a healing.
It's like, I thought I was talking to you, but I actually you were my mom or you were my dad, and I just needed to move through that. So it's just so interesting. It's just a wonderful way to create more freedom and more joy in our lives that's available here and now. So go get it.
Go get jealous.
Go get jealous and then get your freedom.
Yes, freedom from acknowledging it.
And then when your vibe shifts, you're going to find your extraordinary love like she did. So. Don't forget to check out her book, and we really do hope you have a very happy holiday season. Thank you for joining us.
Namaste.
Namaste.